Hi, it's Kristen and welcome back for another DIY video. I'm so excited to share with you this brand new, beautiful punch needle design that we've come up with. So let's go over the supplies that you'll need for your punch needle. So if you are ordering your kit from my Etsy shop, then you will have a punch needle embroidery hoop that looks like this. So you need your embroidery hoop. I like to use this one, which is like a no slip one because I do punch needle quite a lot. I invested in a little bit nicer and more expensive embroidery hoop for my project. So that's an option for you as well. I'll have this one linked in the description box down below. I do get mine from Amazon. The next thing that you will need, of course, is your cloth. So I'm using monk's cloth today, and then backing cloth, which is just a white cotton fabric. Of course, you will need your punch needle and then the threader. Again, all these things do come in the punch needle kits in my Etsy shop. So if you're interested in these, I will put a link in the description box down below. And as well as on the screen here, it is etsy.com/shop/dashing and dainty. And you can find a bunch of different punch needle kits there. You can get just the pattern, you can get the kits without the needle, but if you want the full kit, it comes with literally everything that you need to complete your kit, all the yarn. Of course, you'll also need a pattern, so this is the one I'm using today. Again, this one's in my Etsy shop. We'll need something to mark on our fabric, scissors, and then we'll need a hot glue gun for the very end when we finish off our project, and then of course, the different colors of yarn that you're gonna use. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go ahead and get your monk's cloth onto your embroidery hoop. So this process is exactly the same whether or not you're using this type of embroidery hoop or you're using the wooden bamboo ones. So you're just going to put your ring down and place your fabric right over the top, just like that. And then pull this on over the top. Just like that. And then before I tighten it down, I like to flip it over and just make sure everything is nice and tight. And then I will spin that little nut at the top to tighten it all down. Okay, I'm happy with that. So I'm just going to tighten it up here. And again, if you are using the one from the punch needle kits, you would just tighten it just like this. All right, so once we have the cloth nice and tight on our embroidery hoop, we're just gonna take our pattern here and line it up with the edges and just kind of make sure everything's nice and even. All right, and then I'm just gonna take this felt tip marker and I'm gonna mark on the bottom edges of these. You don't want to go along the whole thing, just the bottom edge is good. Oops. Same thing over here, just the bottom edge. We're creating these little hills here. And then for the sun, same thing, just go all the way around the outside. And then for our birds in the sky, we're just going to do the bottom edge as well. So now I'm just going to go through and complete the little lines where there were breaks in the stencil. Like that. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with our very first color. I'm going to start down here with the charcoal hill. It's kind of a charcoal color if you are following along with the kit from the Etsy shop. So let's go over how to thread the punch needle real quick. So if you are buying a punch needle in a kit, it'll come with a threader like this. And so what we're going to do is take the looped end and we're going to go right through the hole in the top of the punch needle. And then we're going to go down the punch needle. So it's going in the hole and then down through the center until it comes out on the other side, just like that. And then we're going to thread our yarn through that way. So here we have our loop and here's the yarn that we're going to be starting with first. So just go ahead and put your yarn through there and then we're going to pull through. And it'll bring the yarn through the punch needle and up through the hole there. So now our punch needle is threaded. One of the biggest issues people have when doing punch needle is their stitches coming back out of their monk's cloth. So the biggest reason for that is when you don't have enough slack in your yarn. So if you're doing the punch needle and it's pulling the end of it tight like this, then it's going to be pulling your stitches back out of your cloth. So make sure that you pull up a bunch. So you have this pile here. We're gonna make sure it stays nice and loose as we're working these loops, so that way it's not pulling them back out of the fabric. Okay, so we just have a little bit of a tail here. I'm gonna start right over here next to the very edge of the embroidery hoop. I'm gonna go right up against the edge here, basically as close to the edge as I can get. Now this first punch through, we're gonna need to get this yarn to the back. So let's rotate our work over like this, and then you can see what we have here. We're going to pull that yarn, not from the inside of the punch needle, but the yarn that's sticking out on the other side, just like that. So now that we have that tail on the wrong side of our punch needle, so we're not seeing that. We can just pull it up a little bit so we're not wasting too much yarn, and then flip it back over, and we're ready to start punching. So now we're just going to make sure the opening of our punch needle is facing in the direction that we're going to go, and keeping our needle on the monk's cloth, we're just going to start moving down our line that we made, just like this, all the way down. You want to try to keep the distance between your punches about the same width, because it'll just make everything look much more neat and tidy. But it definitely doesn't have to be perfect. So as you can see, we have our line going here. For the sake of your time, I'm going to fast forward this. I'm going to show a little bit of like a time lapse of me finishing this, but we are basically going to go all the way around this edge, and then we're going to go right on the inside of each of these stitches. And we're just going to keep doing that until we fill in this whole thing with this pretty charcoal color. I made a little bit of an error, so I figured it was a good opportunity for me to share with you how to fix something like that. So if you mess up, see here, I went a little bit too low, and I don't want that blue showing. I want to be able to go back and correct that and fix that line there. So all we're going to do is pull our needle out and pull back on the yarn and pop those stitches out until we get back to where we need to fix. And if you have holes in your monk's cloth, you can just kind of brush over them just like that. Sorry about the lighting, the sun is coming in and out of the clouds. But go back to where you, before you messed up, and then go ahead and fix, correct whatever that was that you needed to correct, and then carry on just like normal.
Did you ever stop and think, why spend too much time just getting ready? Let me be honest, I don't know one single thing that I haven't done to make you notice me. Let me be real here. When I see you, my heart starts racing, but I don't know if I like this chasing and playing.
All right, so here we are wrapping up this first hill here. So as you saw, we're just continuing around in this circle the whole way. And so I'm gonna show you now how to end it. Once you've gotten all the parts filled in, go ahead and stick your punch needle in for the last time. Rotate your work over. Let me zoom in here so you can see. So rotate your work over, go ahead and pull from the center. You don't wanna pull the yarn that's in your monk's cloth. You're gonna pull from the center of your punch needle, and then you can leave a bit of a tail and just cut it off just like that. It's a little bit long, so I'm gonna cut that down just a little bit, but there you go. You can see that we have that all nice and filled in now. So we are going to do the exact same process here. I'm going to use a pink color on this hill here. And then for this one, I'm going to use a nice kind of teal green color. I'm going to use a pretty gold color here, and then we're going to use the same charcoal color up here for the birds. So while I have the charcoal on my punch needle, let's go ahead and do our birds. I'm just going to start down here at the end of the wing. Again, I'm going to pull the yarn out to the other side, just like I did in the beginning. And I'm just going to follow this line. And if at any point your monk's cloth starts to get loose, it is totally fine to pause your project and go ahead and tighten it, just like we did in the beginning, rotating it over, pulling all the pieces tight again and making sure everything's nice and snug up at the top. That's perfectly fine to do that, and it will not mess up your project. Okay, so back to this. We did the bird, flip it over just like we did to end the other one, pull from your needle, trim, just like that. And so there's one of our birds done. Let's go ahead and move on to the next bird. Pull to the other side. Just like that. Turn it over, pull from the inside the needle, and cut. So now we have the little birds done, and now we're going to move on to our mountains, and then we're going to complete it with our sun, and then I'll show you how to finish it off after that. I'll show you one more time how to thread your punch needle. Take the threader through the hole and down inside the hollow part of the needle. Just like that. I'm going to go on to my pink color next. So let's get the pink in here. Just like that. And now we pull out some slack. Always, always pull out slack. All right, and let's get started on this next little hill. And we are going to do the exact same method that we did with the charcoal. We're going to follow this line all the way around and come back and then just go through. I've heard people call it like laying brick. So you're just like laying brick, the row after row after row like that. We're going to do the same thing on this side and then finish off with our sun.
It's a shame that my hands start shaking all of the time when you're around me. But this time, girl, I know what's bothering me. I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, 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 nah. Don't you see what's wrong with me? I need somebody to love. Oh, nah, nah. I don't know what I could say to convince you to hang around when you don't have to. There's so much that I'm still
So we are wrapping up our final piece of the punch needle here. So go ahead and get your hot glue gun heating up so you'll be ready when it's time to go ahead and finish off our piece. We're going to be using an extra piece of cotton fabric to go on the back to hide kind of this unsightly mess on the back. So as I said, go ahead and get your hot glue gun going, and it'll be ready in just a moment when we're ready for it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and finish this off here just like we've been doing all along. Pull it out, trim it a little bit. And while I have it flipped over, I'm gonna go ahead and just trim off some of this excess yarn here. Here's what our finished piece looks like. Isn't it so beautiful? This is probably one of the fastest punch needle projects that I've shared on my YouTube channel. Probably maybe the most beginner friendly. It's very, very basic and simple. So let's move on to closing up the back and finishing up. So since I'm using a different embroidery hoop than you'll be likely using if you order the kit from Etsy, or if you pick one up from Michael's or something like that, you'll probably have one of these wooden ones. I don't want to attach this piece onto this embroidery hoop, obviously, because I'm going to be reusing this one. It's a lot more expensive. So I'm going to remove it from here and set that aside, and I'm going to basically remount it onto this embroidery hoop. So first, go ahead and lay down your piece of cotton over the just the plain circle of the embroidery hoop, and then lay your punch needle project over the top, and just try to line it up with the edges that you already had marked. And then we're going to go ahead and place the top over it, and it needs to be loosened a little bit to fit. There we go. Here we go. So before I tighten it up, let's go ahead and turn it over and pull everything nice and tight. You don't want it to be loose, creating wrinkles and such on the front. So just give everything a nice tight tug. And if everything looks good, everything's positioned the way that you want. I think I'm actually going to bump this down a little bit more. Let me see if I can just pull it. There we go. Looks better. Go. So now we can go ahead and tighten it up. Just like that. All right, so this first step is going to be to go ahead and cut the edges of this cotton pretty short. So we're gonna go all the way down pretty short. I need to sharpen my scissors just like this. We're gonna go all the way around, and then we're going to use the monk's cloth to fold over. We're gonna put some hot glue here on the edge and then fold over like that, and that's gonna be the way we kind of seal it up and make the back of the project look nice and pretty instead of all the yarn and such showing through. Okay, now it's time to cut our monk's cloth. We're gonna cut with maybe about 1/2 of an inch left. We're gonna leave about 1/2 an inch, I should say, all the way around. Hot glue gun is nice and warmed up, so all we're gonna do is just take it around the edge here, and little bit by little bit, wrap the monk's cloth around the embroidery hoop, and do that all the way around.
To myself, 'cause you don't listen, babe. But still you got me missing you. When I see you, my heart starts.
So there you have it. It's all nice and finished up, so the project just kind of looks complete on the back. And when you turn your project over, it should look nice and neat. Thanks for joining me for this project today. Don't forget that if you want to purchase a kit with everything that you need to make this beautiful punch needle, you can do that on my Etsy shop, etsy.com/shop/dashinganddainty. I also have just the pattern available for purchase, so it's not even a digital item. We actually cut this out with a machine and send it to you just like this on nice heavy-duty cardstock, so you will have the pattern for yourself to make over and over again. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope it inspired you to make some punch needle projects of your own. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.